So good afternoon. My name is Marcin and I am the Director of Operations for Bidroom. Thank you for joining us here today. I meet Hoteliers Bidroom's event brand, and normally we have live conferences. However, due to COVID-19, we are coming to you digitally. Now, still some people walking through the door, I can see. All right. We conducted a survey with our hotel community to see if we could put together a webinar based on their needs. Out of thousands of surveys sent, we received an overwhelming response from our industry colleagues. The top 7 questions that our hoteliers found pressing nowadays are: what should we do with our hotel brand? How can we relate to potential customers during the COVID-19 shutdown? What can we do to reduce costs? What should we do with our workforce during this crisis? How to keep our sales organization or team motivated? How to reassure and engage our guests during this crisis? And what should be the change management during COVID-19? So with this, we reached out to our hospitality partners to ensure we can answer these questions from those who are directly impacted by this crisis. Today, our panelists consist of Konstantinos Santikos, Managing Director at Santikos Collection, Sara Abdelmasih, General Manager at Hotel dei Cavalieri and the Square Milano Duomo, and Dharmendra Sharma, Director of Sales and Marketing at Oberoi Hotels and Resorts, Dubai. Before we start with our panelists, a message to our participants. After each presentation, there will be an audience 5 minutes Q&A when you will be able to ask questions to our panelists. Please use the Q&A section to pose your questions. You can also upvote other questions that you want to have answered. Now, let me look at our audience for a second. Cool. Now let's give voice to our speakers. Our first speaker is Konstantinos Santikos, Managing Director at Santikos Collection. Konstantinos is a hospitality entrepreneur. He holds a business and finance degree from Babson College. He has worked at UBS Bank in Zurich, Switzerland, and Condé Nast Traveler in New York, both in their product and marketing department. Since 2010, he has been involved and leading the Santikos Collection Hospitality Group as General Manager for the Princess Resort until 2012, Head of Sales until 2018, and Managing Director since 2018. In 2019, he founded Santikos Hospitality, a hospitality consulting agency with a long-term mentality. Konstantinos, what is your message to hospitality industry colleagues today?
First of all, good afternoon from Athens, Greece. It's finally a sunny day in Athens. Despite the lockdown, we were lucky enough to have bad weather, so that kept us inside. We're living times that I don't think not even our generation, but the previous generation has ever lived. It's somehow similar to a war, and especially for a fragile product such as hospitality and general tourism, it has been directly impacted traveling in general. So when you guys contacted me and asked me on how all the topics that the fellow hoteliers were interested in hearing about, I believe that the first thing that came into my mind was brand. I've been researching the impact of brand for the past 3 years, and I've seen significant results on how on the impact of brand to the hotels. And what inspired me was a case study by the Harvard Business Review. And I'm very lucky to have Mr. Sharma here today because the case study was about the Oberoi. and it's called the train whistle in the Tiger Reserve. And that's I've been following the Oberoi hotels for years, and it's what inspired me to make this presentation today as well. I don't know if I have control of the presentation. Okay, great. So let's move back from COVID-19 and the crisis, and let's talk about the brand in general. We have seen as travelers that when we go into a destination, the first thing we search is not exactly price, is a mix of price and branded hotels. And you also often see in a popular destination, the first hotels that get fully booked are the branded hotels, especially the big brands like the Marriotts and the Hyatts of the world. So anybody can notice just from doing some basic research on online that brand is very important for each traveler. And while big hotels can and like the Marriott have their own brand standards, how can independent hotels create a brand that could win this guest over? So what I'd like to say is hospitality and hotels in general are like storytelling. And a great story could attract a lot of travelers and could make them come back and enjoy and experience the story again and tell their friends to enjoy it as well. So what makes a great story are 4 pillars. First of all, you need a lead actor, a main character. That is usually, especially in independent hotels, that is usually the hotelier. He's the entrepreneur, the family behind it, because it's the only true authentic part of the hotel. It's the easiest way to apply the character and the authenticity of the hotelier to the hotel operations, just to start the story. And we often see that hoteliers may be the easiest way to find a main character, but also buildings with their own history can be the protagonist, the main character of the story. This takes us to the setting, the location. This sets the mood for every story. If you go to a beach resort, then you have a different expectation than a city hotel. You cannot tell the same story over a same location. The third part is the cast, and that's where the Oberoi hotels relate as well. They have, I think they're the best hotels in the world to retain, keep, and train their staff, and that's a very important part. If you are not telling the story, if your staff is not telling the story you are trying to sell, then you have a mixed, a confused guest, and that's why training is important. And it's easy to pass the story into in your team because it's authentic. It's your life story, it's your needs. If you don't like luxury, then you cannot teach luxury. And it's very important because at the end of the day, hospitality is about teamwork. And the final part is the ending. If you have the best story in the world, if you have a bad ending, then everybody's going to remember the ending. So the checkout, the feeling the guest gets at the end. So by remembering his whole experience, by probably greeting and meeting the lead actor at the end, from a simple handshake to a follow-up email. So how can we relate the storytelling in a time of crisis? Because it's easy to tell it when everything is normal, but how can you apply such a story, especially now that we have this crisis that's more of a health issue, and the fear of the traveler is not in the hotel, but the travel industry in general. And the key is to relate to the decision maker. So understand what we can cover as a hotel brand, and what story we can tell through any possible media to let him dream again, and let him believe that he's gonna travel, especially this year. So the first thing is keep it relative. When you get your message out there, keep the story, uh, but understand that his worry is hygiene. He wants to go to a destination where there's testing, there's social distancing in place. Your housekeeping is enforced, and there are more staff. Over communicate that, so he's reassured. He will get into a destination. He's going to get to the hotel that he really likes. He likes the story, but he also feels safe. Like safety is the hotelier's number one priority. The second part is to keep the standards. I understand, and I'm a hotelier myself, the cash flow is not in the best condition right now. So there are a lot of we cut our budget. A lot of hotels are laying off staff if they don't have any support from the government. So in the mind of the hotelier is to cut the cost, but not in expense of the standards. We have to keep the standards in place. Do not cut off the service, just cut off the outlets. For example, I don't think a lot of people are gonna use the spa the next 3 or 4 months. Just keep try to minimize. If you have a kids club, then do a private sessions. But if you have 3 restaurants, only open 2, but keep the standards in place, because the original story you were telling your guest all this time must not change. And the third part is to be confident in the process. So when you start communicating, do not look back, because then you get your guest confused. Is he ready to apply the safety measures? Why is his story changing? So we have to be true, and we have to be authentic. So all the new aspects of the story that we are applying have to come from the decision of the hotelier and have to have a logic behind it. So somebody might ask, how do you, I don't have a brand in place. I'm just a hotel. My target, my strategy is price war. And how do I start? How do I start telling a story, especially in this time? So first of all, you have to understand, you have to know who's your target group. And it's simple by actually looking at your data and seeing what's the demographics. And you can identify the target group by looking at yourself as a hotelier, what you are able to give them. So, but you have, the wider the audience, the stronger the competition. So you have to get your niche audience there. Then identify their needs, especially in the time of crisis. The families will be more scared to fly than the individual traveler. So address this issue, create a story where safety is number one. We have more hygiene measures in place, and relate to that target group. Then is the promotion. Without the promotion, without marketing your story, you will never get out there. So use every platform out there to promote it. It will be different on traditional media than Facebook and LinkedIn, but it's a different point of view. It's just the same brand. So people can identify easily your hotel. You have to adjust to the media, but promotion is key. Then you have to execute it. So whatever you were promoting all this time, you have to put in place. And that's the importance of the cast. The cast members, the team has to be ready to implement everything, every part of the story that you were telling your guests. Don't worry, so there will be social distancing in place. We have tests at arrival. We have more digital means of communicating. So apply that over and over again, and apply, and that's the importance of promoting something that's true, because you will never be able to execute it. At the end, you have to follow up. So even though the guest has left, you have to know if the execution or the promotion or even the target group was right, if the branding with the operations were actually a match. And this will help you adjust and correct and tweak the story a little bit, just to have happier guests in the future. The last part, the add value part, is something that I added the past month. And over this online, this shift to online communication, I think we have a great opportunity as hotels to promote our brand even after the guest has left the hotel. So if you are a sports, if you are a hotel that has a big sports club like tennis or yoga, give content to the guests. Send them a link of a free yoga class or some tennis techniques that he can use during the winter time or during the time that you will be off, especially for resorts. There are almost 12 months where they will see the guest again. So add value that will be according to your brand. Maybe your family resort, send some videos or tips for kids, creative tips to pass their time during the weekend, especially, or to pass their time during the lockdown. And it's something that will add value to the guest and add value to the brand, because they will continuously see your hotel and they through content. So why brand is important, I think you can understand that now sales and the sales team cannot do anything. Whatever promotions, they will just go into the newsletter inbox, because people are not dreaming, are not deciding on holidays. But brand will always sell when sales can't, because a luxury product or a brand that can secure safety for the guests will always sell and will always outprice everything else. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Konstantinos, for this amazing insights. You talked about storytelling, and certainly it is vital to keep showing that we are still here. So we want to be able to say a story about what's happening right now. Therefore, I would like to ask you this question. What are some positive initiatives that hoteliers can do during the COVID-19 pandemic right now at that time?
It's part of the add value part I was saying before. They can show the guests that they're here and they're creative. So they can make videos of recipes from the hotel menu, they can cook them in the kitchen. They can do a wine show. So the sommelier or the head waiter of the restaurant can do a show with like a Zoom webinar with the local producer of the wine and introduce the wine to the guests. Because at the end of the day, whenever a guest goes to the hotel restaurant, they will never ever experience the whole wine menu. Yoga, the sport classes I was telling you before, and at the end, the number one and the most important part of of hospitality is the housekeeping part. So tricks on how to clean your house in a professional way, in a way that the hotel will actually do it when the guest will be there. So add value and add value to your brand as this lockdown continues, and when the measures are a bit more relaxed and people can travel, the guests will remember and they will appreciate the help that you are giving them.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, one more question briefly. I recently often heard that attracting locals is a good strategy for the near future. I mean, certainly there are hotels which are doing a lot locally and are supporting communities, but yeah, due to the travel restrictions, which will be still there for some time, how can we attract locals into our hotels and also local market, domestic market? Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, so again, you have to go back to the decision maker. What are the needs of the local market? In some countries, it's price, because there are destinations where the local market cannot travel to the luxury hotels that they're out there. But you have to adjust you adjust your operations. Again, back with the storytelling, you have to adjust in a more local, more, let's say, down-to-earth operation style, where you can offer the food, the experience that the locals will need when they travel in the destination. Because at the end of the day, for example, here in Greece, no Greek traveler wants to go to Greece and be taught in English. They don't want. They want to eat Greek food. They want. They add value more on the experience than the room. So you adjust and you tilt a bit the story. And at the end of the day, this is something that it's let's say a lesson for the future years to come. That the local market will always be there as a safety net. So maybe a shift into our authenticity, and because a lot of travelers, especially my generation, they travel to the hotels because they want to, and they travel to each country because they want to experience the authenticity of the island, of the country itself, and they don't want to enjoy international menu because they can have that in their town as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this insights. I am pretty sure that we will have a lot of stories to tell after this harsh time, and I really hope that we'll be able to reach out to guests, to tell them the stories and to inspire them to come back. Our second speaker today is Sara Abdelmasih, General Manager at Hotel dei Cavalieri and the Square Milano Duomo. With a degree in tourism science and almost 20 years of experience from working only in 5-star luxury hotels in the center of Milan, Sara is more than accustomed to challenges. Currently, she is employed as a general manager of Hotel dei Cavalieri and the Square Milano Duomo and is tasked to improve them to a 5-star rating. She's an expert on analysis and reorganization of departments, commercial marketing plans and communication, as well as sales training. She has received multiple awards, including Milanese of the Year award in 2018. Sara, please take the stage.
So first of all, I would like to say hello to everybody. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be part of this community. And I wanted to go ahead here. Of course, here in Italy, the case impact very drastically. But I don't want to be focused on that because I want to be positive because my mentality is actually to be positive always. So I don't need to address my mind into this type of drastically. So let's go ahead and we will see immediately the points in order to suggest, in order to follow. I will not say nothing new because I'm sure that I'm in touch with hospitality management who are already agreed about this type of topics. So I will just underline some good points in order to support. So let's go ahead and let me take okay. Well, in the middle of difficulty lies an opportunity. So why I need to start with this type of phrases? Because I think that we have to learn from the big mentor protagonist in the past. Because I think that our story can give us more impact, and they can learn how to pass this type of situation. I want to transfer this type of point just to all my followers in order to say that I mean we have to satisfy all the requests of our guests and of our employees. And I told you before, I'm really positive and I want to go ahead and pass this hard period. Otherwise, we will not be able to motivate ourselves first and our collaborators secondly. I want just to open these topics with this type of phrases. So let's go ahead and be impacted about all the argument. So what can I do to reduce cost? As I told you, you have already put all these type of suggestion in, but improved energy efficiency, I think that is the most important thing that all the managers in that case needs to apply immediately. So close all the hotel floors in order to reduce costs, but I think that surely you have already been done. And reduce waste in order to reduce the F&B cost. The F&B cost, I mean about all the employees regarding that, all the areas regarding the F&B outlet. And the reduction of the staff is based on current infrastructure demand. In any case, they use, for the future, maybe we are supposed to use, I don't know, mobile ordering technologies, and can also help in converting traditional dining in F&B outlets, such as, for example, a delivery. Here in Italy, a lot of hotels already starts with this type of service. So just to suppose that the future can, in a part, can help us to renate it. So I think that this is very important. Not only review the investment plans. This is a type of point that all the owners know about, and it's recommended that hoteliers carefully review their investment spending plans to identify opportunities for deferral. So you have to respond to these questions. Can you proactively pause, reduce, and or eliminate non-essential investment this year? So I think that you have to respond to this type of question first in order to save the biggest that you can do. So the investment is the first thing that you have to be impacted in the business plan. Then, if you are the management, I know that in this community we have a lot of hotel managers and owners. So I will take the two points. So first of all, if you are the management, you have to negotiate a reduction of rent cost for a period. So finding an agreement with the owner or the real estate in order to save more. I'm sorry if I'm gonna tell you a word that can be reduction, but money, in order to save money. And not only this, for the owner, you have to negotiate a suspension of leasing in case you have it, or loan with the bank. Therefore, what should I do with my workforce during this crisis? Very interesting question. Take care about them. As a mental coach and general manager, I want to be really point out about this topic. The mental health at this moment and the psychosocial is very important. So you have to be the example for everybody. Otherwise, we will, as I told you at the beginning, we will cut down in a drastically zone. So you have to be care about this point and communicate it clearly, because I think that the communication right now is the most important thing to take care. So the communication always. Also, I mean, 2 lines, also 1 word, but it's really, really important to do. So this is a type of suggestion that I'm in charge to do every day here at in my job, in my hotels, for example. Prepare for increased support needs. I think that this is as well one of the other points that we have to take care. Why we have to take care about that? Because it's our future. So I think that the human aspect is the most important and delicate point to care, as I told you before. But as a part of the future, we have to prepare the system according to the service, according to the sector. So that's the first thing that we have to take care as well. Invest in software. Of course, we don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. So the only thing that we can manage right now is to take care about the future software that could help in order to reactivate the business. And help employees serve customers from anywhere. Well, I'm sorry, I receive a pop-up. Can you hear me? Okay. Where I said about the help employees serve customers from anywhere. What I would like to say, you can continue to provide high quality and timely support while making inquiry routing adjustment and I don't know, prioritization based on your support teams, location and availability. Take let me see. Take ensure of virtual access. You have to be sure about the access. I mean, you have to give all the instrumental according to the business and give them all the possibility in order to improve themselves, because this is, as I told you before, it will be our future. Okay, don't compromise the security, because we are awareness about the security. So take care about this aspect. I don't know in all over the world, But here in Italy, we have, I think also over the world, we have the GDPR. So we have to take care also about this. I don't know at this time what is going to do, but because I think that something has been, needs to be settled once again, but take care about that and have a backup plan. Also this type, because we are try to teach together this type of new instrument, it is important to have a backup plans for technology issues, while also capturing employee knowledge. So if, for example, there are only 3 employees who know a password to a critical system, what is the plan of action if there are an unavailable development plan? What your operation center to make sure critical knowledge and information is like, I don't know if I'm using simple words in order to explain these facts. So I hope that this message will arrive. And then if the team member are unexpected, unavailable, it won't halt business. So take care also about that. You have to prevent everything. And that's it. So it's little points that I will suggest you in order to support everybody. This is the only thing that I'm really important to transfer you. So hope that everything has been, you know, understand and clearly accepted.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for this insights. You have really brought a couple of important points, and one of them, and I wanted to ask you about that, is the fact that social distancing will, we need to accept that social distancing will stay with us for some time. Yeah, and once people start traveling again, they will be expecting to feel comfortable and safe. What safety and cleanliness procedures should we be thinking about right now? I'm pretty certain that we will have to probably change the approach to that. What do you think?
I think that the human approach cannot be denied. I mean, for the future, we will for sure have instrument in order to waive some type of approach, but the future, I think that for the human sector cannot be denied. So I just would like to talk about the instrumental as a part or integrally of our life, but I don't want to change it as a human approach, you know. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but type of instrument in order to improve also the business for the future.
I have studied cultural differences in various markets, etc. And I'm wondering sometimes whether our Italian friends, for instance, will also adapt for the coming months the 1.5 or 2 meters distance while talking, similarly to Nordic nations, for instance. How do you see that?
Quite difficult for the Italian people, actually, because we will change our behavior. I mean, this type of gesture is actually in at the moment we are just doing that at the moment. So I think that we have just to improve. You know, you can change your behavior after. I think a mental coaching is going to say that you need to have 8 weeks in order to change your behavior. I think that we have passed the period.
Yeah.
We will change, I mean, slow by slow, step by step, this type of behavior, and then we will see. But don't be afraid and be positive, because we will change for sure, but maybe could be an important change that could meet ourselves for the future.
Sure. Thank you very much, Sarah. I think we all appreciate your positive energy, and thank you for sharing this energy with us as well. Our third speaker is Dharmendra Sharma, Director of Sales and Marketing at Oberoi Hotels and Resorts, Dubai. With more than 15 years within Asia and United Arab Emirates, working with various famous brands and five-star hotels in the field of sales and marketing, Dharmendra Sharma is an expert on his field. As Director of Sales and Marketing, he has worked for prestigious hotel chains such as Kempinski Hotel, Raffles Dubai, the Shangri-La Hotel Dubai, and the Wyndham Group before rejoining the Oberoi Dubai. He not only holds an MBA in marketing, but is also a certified Google digital marketing specialist. Furthermore, he has an excellent knowledge of the hospitality industry, understanding of strategic planning, and experience with events and conferences. Thanks to his strong commitment to achieving results, he has earned Oberoi multiple awards. Dharmendra, please share your insights with us.
So thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to represent the sales fraternity. I feel very passionate about what we do, and also the sales fraternity in general. The people who are the doers, the people who are the revenue generators, people who push. So in normal scenario, we are the ones who create revenues instead of what we're discussing, just the opposite. But then we are also the ones who see the opportunity differently. So I'd like to start with the slide, if I may get my access constituent. Yes, so hello everyone. I like to say that of course times are tough. There is a profound negative which is everywhere. I've stopped reading a lot of news. I'd rather speak to my sales colleagues and people in different parts of the world. Because again, there is a silver lining which we all see across a lot of government bodies, a lot of decision makers are discussing hospitality for the first time, which is fantastic. A lot of people are also confused, so Emirates or other airlines are opening and not opening. But having said that, the business will continue. The resilience would stay. And as I said, you know, I belong to the fraternity of the crazy ones who believe, and then they change the world. So these are the people who actually change the world. So let's look at the positive side of what can we do. I'll try not to repeat whatever Konstantinos and Sarah has already discussed. So I'll skip that part. But I like to talk more about what we do in this crisis. So to set the agenda, I put the presentation into three parts. One is how to keep the sales organization motivated, how to reassure your clients across the world, and at the end, what is changing? How do we handle the change management? So my beautiful slide, which is all about team, and at the moment I'm missing them, but more of virtual communication. It's all about making sure that we follow the government rules. That's the first thing. At the end of the day, safety, which Sarah did highlight, is extremely important to all of us. So what I do normally, I have the privilege of this wonderful technology where I can connect with my team. It's quite fun to see them differently as well, talking to them about, you know, how's the family, how's even the financials, how are you keeping up with the financials, and you know, things what they're watching. I mean, a lot of Netflix comes up, but that only shows the positive side of things. There's a lot of bottom-up management approach as well. So I represent the sales department or the HOD, but I do not have necessarily all the answers. And that answers, maybe even my general manager doesn't have the answers as well. So what I do is I normally collect all that feedback and I go back and I try to come back to my team. But one thing is extremely important, that is transparency. If I don't know, I'll say I do not know, I'll come back to you. There is no dark silo at all. And that will eventually establish on its own, because if you have a regular team catch up, you are kind of following up the things which we salespeople anyways do. And of course, perhaps now more than ever is a wonderful time to do online trainings. So, you know, in our small sales organization world, we always have this one-to-ones, the catch-ups. You know how to groom, how to develop your team members. Perhaps you can still continue doing that. Of course, it needs two people to come together, but you pretty much know as a HOD of the department who would like to go towards what direction. So there are a lot of online trainings which we're extending. But again, number one thing is transparency, and the other thing is compassion. Things go wrong. People have their cousins and siblings in different parts of the world. So of course, the language and the tone has changed. But at the end, a team is a team. Going to the next slide, how important it is to reassure the engagement. Now, at this moment, I see a lot of digital marketing going across, which says, dream now, travel later. We are in all this together. There is a mixed emotion personally for me, because I think at this moment, nobody's dreaming. I think people are worried. And people are trying to do endurance. People want to know, where are we heading? But having said that, it is important that we are extremely mindful of not letting the clients go. Again, in our sales organization, it's about 80-20. It's about making sure your best clients are with you. And Marcin, very little touch base on, will we be having social distancing? Will we be worried of meeting people? Try salespeople. Your best salespeople are the ones who do the biggest hugs, and people love to hug them. It's all about relationships. So that thing would never change. Unfortunately or fortunately, mostly sales team, I call them sales warriors, are always at the forefront. But currently in this situation, perhaps we are forced to go to hibernation. But if there's any chance that you can keep your sales team alive and engaged, please do so. And I know I'm talking to the right audience, because at the end, you never know. Nobody knows. Nobody has that crystal ball. Within 3 to 6 months, where is this world heading? But when you need your salespeople, those crazy ones, we will come handy. So try to keep their engagements on, try to keep them possible in terms of every manner. Now, a couple of things which we should not do. A cold email. I mean, I don't know if you're getting it. I always get emails on LinkedIn saying, hey, would you like to buy this technology? Would you like to do that? I think that's stupid. That's absolute stupid. And that only shows not the sales team member, it shows the capability of the leader of that sales organization that, do not think in that direction at this moment. But of course, reframe, rework your messaging. Now more than ever, empathy comes handy. And the number one tool, the number one skill set a salesperson has is called empathy. People buy people, and that would never change. So for me, again, have a conversation with your sales team. I always say to my team, and I think few of them have joined today, say, please call your clients, but do not discuss business. Just check on them. How are you? How are you keeping up? Is there anything I can do? Of course, again, follow the government or rules and organization. Safety is extremely important. But if somebody wants to just talk to somebody, please be that ear at this moment of the time. And again, communicate the policies. Everybody came up with cancellation policies saying, hey, we are flexible. Right, but have you communicated that to your clients? Have you had conversations where you had a conversation with the travel manager saying, if in case there's unfortunate circumstance, the hotel is closing down, be upfront and offer that kind of conversation, because people will remember you. This COVID situation might go away in 6 months to 3 months, so people will still remember who spoke to me and what did we discuss about it. So I suggest that we should communicate, but again, no cold calling. It's more of reassuring in a nice way. But again, the responsibility comes to the GMs, to the leaders of the department too. So how are we communicating? I can only share what we have done at our hotel and what are some of the best things I've seen. This is a wonderful email sample which I have from one of the leaders in our organization. Look at the words, the way they have been framed. For me, this is gold. And I even used a lot of orange gold because I believe this is hope. And now more than ever, we need that. So some of the words which has been used are beautiful, saying, time has been gifted to me. Instead of saying, oops, I'm locked inside my house. This is a wonderful time to connect with you. You'll be also happy to know that we are well. One of the things I've always seen in our hotel, and many hotels actually, that sometimes our guests have better relationship with the guy who served the coffee than the guy who actually run the hotel. And that guy is okay, is extremely important for that guest to know. Because this is again, this emotional bonding which we have and which we strive on, which is extremely important. It also has a very confident language which says, I am confident that we will stick together when things will become normal. I think this is beautiful. And at the end, we always say thank you for the support and thank you for everything. Because again, people like to be acknowledged for all what we have done. And this is more so I see it, and perhaps I'm very fortunate to be part of the Oberoi group, that for us, people first, and our chairman always has this vision. But it's also seen in different parts of the hotels as well, that people are very compassionate towards the guests. In fact, some of the guests have sent us videos where they're actually missing the hotel. So I think it's very important that we go back to them saying, we're equally missing you. And that's what we have done. The next sample is where we have sent out the communication in more visual manner. So this wonderful man is my general manager. And if you notice, we are living in a country, or the UAE, which has the most ambitious hospitality ever. But we haven't highlighted Burj Khalifa. We've highlighted the man himself, because he is the one who talks to them. He is the one who people know. He is our leader. So that communication itself also says, during these complex times, we at the Oberoi want to ensure that we are going, and we've always done. So that's very reassuring again. And you should have seen the response he got on the social media. So this is some of the communication. Also, you have an email, you have an EDM sample where all our team members are standing. This wonderful photo was for our 6th anniversary. So that's how the human 6 came in. Again, a lot of human touch, a lot of connectivity and relationship reinforcement, which we have done. Moving to the next, we are in an adversity management situation. And unfortunately, anything you read, you hear, it's all about cut the cost, save the life. But I had this opportunity to hear one of the panelists at a conversation, and a lot of adversity management, which has been part of our MBAs, part of our management courses, but perhaps now is the time when we pick up those things and go through it. And I say this with a lot of respect to all the leaders. It is tough for all of us. Nobody has that crystal ball to answer the question. But some of the things, again, coming back to the sales topic, do not do carpet bombing. Do not reduce your rates. There is no correlation between dropping the rates to the volume gain. That would not happen. That has never happened. Do not give discounts, deep discounts to your key clients, the guests, because obviously the key clients do not care for the discount, but if you're dropping the rates, there's a huge gap which you have to cover up. So I think you do not need to do that. But of course, speak to them, have a value add for them. But today, as much as we believe in that things will go perfect, there's a lot more thinking to be done. That includes me as well, which we all need to think about. What are some of the things we do in adversity management? And I like to leave everybody with these thoughts instead of any kind of suggestion, because I don't have the answer, but I'm working on it. I listen to everybody. So some of the points I put together is like, what are the facets of the situation which potentially we can influence to come together, stronger together? And hence, I think collaboration is a beautiful word. All these time people have been writing to us saying, hey, would you like to have 5 minutes to hear my technology? Would you like to hear 5 minutes of a consultancy? Give them that time, because you have that time. Perhaps this is a time where you collaborate with each other and come up with a better idea. Fine-tune things if you can. What ownership can we take to step up? Have we thought about something in terms of how can we grow, how can we develop, or how can we do things differently? Everybody reads the same media, so they talk about the same thing. Perhaps this is the time where you reflect or emerge as a hero, come up with stuff which you haven't. And there's nothing called different, because again, as a salespeople, we are crazy ones. So I think we should try to think of something out of the box, because this situation was not there before. Where and how can we minimize the downfall? With all due respect, all I hear from the owners and from all the leaders, we're cutting costs, we're cutting day, we're doing this, we're doing that. Have we thought of how to maximize the upside? Have there been things where we can somehow minimize the losses in terms of conversation? I think we all are mentally ready as employees when you talk about salary cuts. But other than salary cuts, can we rephrase and look into things which are perhaps different? But last but not the most important one is endurance. How long will we survive? I think stay alive is a new hashtag, which we have to make sure that whenever we're looking at coming back to a normal business, how can we get out of this adversity as brilliantly as we can? Again, nobody has a perfect answer, but if we don't think about it, there will be no answer. Again, collaboration perhaps is worth doing the effort. There was a question asked by Marcin that how are we looking at creating a different or a unique experience? Perhaps something different, perhaps something crazy, because yes, there will be a fear for people to travel. There will be a fear for long-haul flights, perhaps, because I don't think a family with small kids is going to try a new destination, not immediately, perhaps. Maybe as a company or as a brand, we come up with things which might sound crazy but fun, perhaps. At the end, we have to foster togetherness. Our messaging at the moment is dream now, travel later. Perhaps we talk about, cherish that togetherness, which is coming our way forward. Because at the end, we are the ones who frame things. We are the ones who create the marketing needs to it. And at the end, how can we harness this adversity as a core strategy? If there is no strategy, there is nothing coming our way. So perhaps worth looking at conversation. In our sales world, we are very busy if we want to be busy, because our tour operators are talking to us, our travel managers are talking to us. So at the moment, everybody's looking at 2021, but 2021 has to be worked even now. So all those things have to be done in place. But will that be a novice salesperson having a tough conversation with a very smart negotiator travel manager? Maybe not, because then you don't need to discount when it was not needed to discount. Again, I do not have the crystal ball, but as Charles Darwin very well said, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. And I think change management is what we're looking at. I hope, it was a very heartfelt conversation I had, because at the end, all we hear is doomsday or profound negative. But again, on a daily basis, we hear a lot of plus as well. I think we encourage to talk about the plus as well. Talk about little successes also we share. That's it for my end.
I think you have already answered some questions that I had. So actually, because we are approaching the end of this webinar, I will ask you one very short question. Do you feel like you're going to be a chief recovery officer very soon?
Well, I'll make sure my team and we come out as the best and we emerge as heroes. And when I say emerge as heroes, in our relative world, when everything is so negative, we will make sure mentally and whatever best we can do, we will ensure we do that. Recovery, I don't know, but for sure the world will not end. The things will not work. We will come back out, and I think at the end we all will be stronger together. Remember my word: foster togetherness. Come out together and collaborate. That's what I believe.
Dharmendra, we actually have got one more question from one of our attendees. If you don't mind, I will ask you that.
Pleasure.
How do you think this situation is impacting your relationship with OTAs and distribution channels in general? Would it have a long-term impact?
Hello, OTA. OTA always have to be in stories, right? So for me personally, I think at the end, OTAs are the ones who are booking business. Unfortunately, fortunately, this is what I see on a daily basis. It is an open platform. Do we have the capability to renegotiate the commissions is the right question, I guess. I think as a bigger organization, companies have been doing that. But is it something which we should do right away? I don't think so. Has the relationship with OTAs have changed? I wish OTA was a man and I was talking to that. OTA has always been a technology, right? So for me, personally, no. I haven't really looked into it. We have thought about it. But again, as a company, we take a stand together, and like many other companies. So unfortunately, no, nothing has changed for OTA. But if you do the carpet bombing discounts, you will have rate integrity issues. Please do not do that. That's the only thing I'll say. Do not lose your clients who trust you to work direct with you. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much. I think this is a strong message. Thank you very much once again. We are already coming to the end of the webinar, and I really want to thank you, our three speakers. I hope that their answers will help you face the current situation, and that they will allow you, if you're not already doing so, to believe that working together will help us all come out of this crisis stronger and limit the damage it is causing to the industry today. Next Wednesday, we will have our second I Meet Hotel webinar about new revenue streams through partnerships. You're all invited. You just need to register again at www.imeethotel.com/webinar. Thank you very much. Have a good evening and see you soon.